Fancies a big prize one today. Actually, dancing teapot later on as the crowd gets ready for the royal procession. Vantage points being taken, a bit like Ollie Sangster's filly in the coronation stakes later. This place is simmering nicely, and they are on their way. Perfect timing. Again, glistening in the sunshine. Day 4's royal procession is underway. And Charlotte, give us a preview who's in carriage 1.
So in carriage 1 we have the King, the Queen, the Lord Cavendish of Furness and Lady Cavendish of Furness as well. Now Lord Cavendish is a Conservative politician, a landowner. He owns Holker Hall and its 17,000-acre estate. He's now retired from running the estate, but he's owner and chairman of Cartmel Racecourse on his land. He loves his racing. And Lady Cavendish was at school with Queen Camilla, and she's had this lovely quote: "Not in a million years could she ever imagine her school friend becoming queen." She said, "We were so busy having fun and being naughty." She's great fun, a stoic friend, but very strong and very grounded. There you are, the inside information.
Well, Cavendish himself is quite a car because he's a great supporter of Cartmel Racecourse, which has a monastery next door to it. And he says he welcomes everybody there, dogs and all the rest of it. It's hugely successful. But he says in the old days that he thinks the monks used to race their mules. And it's the ghosts of the monks that inspire people. And he says they're very happy ghosts too.
Do you know what inspires me at Cartmel Racecourse, which is great fun? Go there if you can. It's the best sticky toffee pudding in the world.
That's a good recommendation. I do have a quirky fact about him, you know. He shares a love of plants with the King. He's patron of the European Boxwood and Topiary Society, and the King is their principal honorary member. There you are.
I don't know them, but I do know they're great friends with the Kumani family, which is a ringing endorsement for the Cavendishes, who are in carriage 1, chatting merrily with the King and Queen Camilla as they make their way up the straights. On to carriage 2.
In carriage 2, we have His Highness Sheikh Hamad bin Abdullah Al Thani, the Marchioness of Lansdowne, the Earl of Culloden, and the Countess of Culloden. Now, His Highness Sheikh Hamad bin Abdullah Al Thani is a member of the Qatari royal family, chief executive of Quipco, the company which owns Qatar Racing and Qatar Bloodstock, the global thoroughbred breeding and racing operation. We have the Marchioness of Lansdowne. She is one of the Queen's companions, that equivalent of the lady in waiting. She's one of the Queen's dearest friends. She's known professionally as Fiona Shelbourne, the interior designer. She has been by Queen Camilla's side for decades now, a confidant and a right-hand woman. And the Earl of Culloden is Lord Lieutenant of County Armagh in Northern Ireland. He represents the monarch there. He was one of the peers carrying the royal standards at the coronation.
Some familiar faces in carriage 3, and star amongst them, Jackie Mullins is here today, and they might have a winner with the Mullins team. And Jackie on the far side, black hat, she's going to be presenting the trophy for the Albany, our first live race today, which is lovely because Charlotte, Willie Mullins gets all the attention,
yes,
everything, and Jackie's such a huge part of that team, and today is her day in the spotlight.
It's time for her to have her moment. Also in that carriage we have the Lord Bamford, Lady Bamford, as well as Mr. and Mrs. Willie Mullins, and Lord Bamford's chairman of JCB, Lady Bamford's founder of Dalesford Organic Farm Shops, and they have Dalesford Stud together breeding racehorses. She's talked about her dedication, getting a call at 1 in the morning when they're foaling and having to head out and check on them.
Commitment.
So she puts in the hours as well.
Love their horses. Famous colours.
She's got a runner in the first too. Nandita, trained by John Gosden. So
Classic winning colours as well, Sariska and Co.
Sariska, who was a really, really good filly, second in the Oaks. But no, and if you go to Dalesford, it's very much the whole thing done in style. Look, and there's, talk about style there were Lloyd Webbers in the last carriage.
Yeah, so here in the 4th carriage we have the Lord Lloyd Webber, Lady Lloyd Webber, the Right Honourable the Lord Benyon, and Lady Benyon as well. And Lord Lloyd Webber is a close friend of the King, Andrew Lloyd Webber, of course, the King of memorable tunes, Phantom of the Opera, Vita, Cats. He also composed a piece for the coronation. He was made Knight Companion of the Order of the Garter last year, which he said was the greatest honour of his life. And Madeline, his wife, is a former equestrian sportswoman herself. Lord Benyon was last year appointed by the King as Lord Chamberlain. He's head of the British Royal Court, and he also invested him with the Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order. His wife Zoe set up Robinson Pelham Jewellers. Now, those earrings from there were worn by the Princess of Wales on her wedding day.
Is that right?
This is right, and she often wears them at events as well.
So the Lord Chamberlain's effectively chairman of the royal household. I got a letter from the other day. I got invited to
Did you?
a garden party.
Oh, look at you.
A charity day there. And obviously, I'm involved with Interjockeys Fund and Wellchild. I had a lovely day. It was great.
You're not the only one there, though, are you?
No, there were about 7,000 people.
Oh.
And I didn't take anything home with me, but I had a very good tea. It was excellent.
Nice walk round the gardens, isn't it?
Stunning. Really was. Absolutely stunning. And the crowds will soon get a first glimpse of the royal procession, this timeless tradition. Ruff, I've been saying, we might get interrupted by the national anthem in a second. I want to ask you about this, though. In fact, let's just wait a moment, because the crowd, again, big today and about to get a glimpse of the royal procession. Where are you, Luke Harvey?
I'm actually down in the Queen Anne enclosure, and we're all eagerly awaiting the royal arrival. What are your names then?
Alina.
And have you
Mary.
And have you seen the King and Queen before?
I haven't. I'm so excited.
I can't believe how close you can get.
I know, it's absolutely wonderful that we can get this close.
It is, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And we've got actually someone up here. You're lucky, you've got a bird's eye view, you have.
Oh, I'd love to see him. I hope he'll give us a wave, you know? That'd be amazing, yeah.
You might
Hey,
recognise
if he sees your top hat, he's definitely going to give us a wave, yeah.
We shall see. They're just on their way. Should be here in a few seconds' time.
And Luke, please come back from the Windsor enclosure this year after your Mr. Brightside incident last year. You've got a job to do at the Stars today. As I say, Bruff, we might get interrupted by the national anthem, in which case we'll pause. But I've been saying all week about a modern-day Royal Ascot, how it's for everyone these days, which it didn't used to be, I think it's fair to say. Arabella Byrne has written a very, very amusing piece, tongue-in-cheek, magnificently scurrilous, really, in The Spectator, describing Ascot. I don't know whether you read it, Bruff. She describes Ascot as an exercise in manicured social segregation led by the Middleton classes. Basically saying the Royal Enclosure isn't what it used to be. Is that a good or a bad thing in your eyes?
Well, it's a very good thing it's not what it used to be, but the piece is very funny. The great riff is that racing really depends on S&M, not sadomasochist, but the snobs and the mobs. And the terrible thing is you don't let the middle classes in. And of course it's the riff on the Middletons, because they used to say about Carol Middleton, she was once an air hostess, when any of those Middletons came along, they said, Lord Doors to Manual. They were very, very sloppy. Doors to Manual. Very sloppy.
Some people don't like change.
No, they don't. But I mean, back in the day, if you're an actor, you weren't allowed in the Royal Enclosure, were you? Because it wasn't seen to be a suitable profession. So if you divorced, you weren't. There were all sorts of rules. So, you know, it's got to move with the times. It's got to, you know, welcome people and make sure that it's accessible and breathe new life into the future generations that are going to continue to love racing.
People should change that. To talk about aircraft there. I remember when this stand was first built, it was described as like an airport terminal. People didn't like it. Now it just gets rave reviews, doesn't it?
Well, again, I feel very sorry in a way, except that he's now the boss of Jumpman, which is brilliant. Douglas Erskine Club, who's organised here, because there was a mistake on the viewing levels, beginning. He then has masterminded this and what a tribute. And now I think we're going to have the ultimate tribute to the national anthem.
Definitely imminent, Bruff. Definitely imminent. But that is the grandstand you're referring to. And Douglas Erskine Crumb's had a great week with Field of Gold, winning in the Juddmonte colours on Tuesday. One thing we haven't had this week is a royal winner. Ruff, we've got another royal runner today, ridden by a young man who wasn't even close to being born when that stand was built.
Warren Fentiman, he is 17 years old, and he's got a perfectly good shot. Purple Rainbow. We had Rainbow's Edge, didn't quite do it on the Tuesday, but Purple Rainbow's got a perfectly good chance, trained by William Haggis, who's in the carriage yesterday, and it could certainly be a hats off to the King.
And the Mullins have got Ethical Diamond. There's Willie on the right there. Ethical Diamond running this afternoon. I'm still hurting from reaching high on day one, who finished on the bridle. And they'll be chatting racing for sure with the Bamfords, who've owned so many good horses over the years. Owns them generally Lady Bamford in conjunction with her daughter these days. You enjoy today, don't you, Charlotte? All the military uniforms and Armed Forces Day.
I just think it's such a lovely thing for them to do here, actually. You know, Armed Forces Day, it collects money for the Army Benevolent Fund, makes sure that our servicemen and women are well looked after, and I just think it adds that extra edge, doesn't it, on the Friday? It gives it something special.
There's a lively old atmosphere already today. It hasn't had the Royal Procession this week yet, the gasps when people look in the carriages. Obviously, the Princess of Wales so sadly couldn't be with us on Wednesday, but here is the first sighting in the paddock on day 4. It's fairly subdued, isn't it? Is that fair?
It was. There was a ripple of applause, wasn't there? And listen, as they make their way round, that applause, it's like a Mexican wave, isn't it, as they proceed around the parade ring here.
But this is not a moment to stand up and wave the screen. You're not going to have a king round up and do a sort of pop star wave.
Well,
it's
not
the
yet,
royal
maybe
carriage
one
is
day.
coming in. Maybe one day.
Those cheers are building, and it is an opportunity, like Royal Ascot, to get that closer, I think, to members of the royal family. You can see so many people gathered here, lots of phones out, ready to capture that moment.
There's a camera in the first carriage yesterday. Marchioness of Salisbury yesterday.
Three cheers there.
You're right, the cheers got louder as they got further round. More 3 cheers. And the front carriage will pull up outside the Wen under the glass there, where the jockeys will be preparing for the Albany. And they will dismount to meet that man, Sir Francis Brooke, the chairman, the King's representative. And the reception line behind him, who I'll tell you about in just a second. So they will disembark. And in the line today, you've got a glimpse of him there. Jonathan Parker, who's the managing director, 1711 by Ascot. Basically means he's in charge of food and drink. There are just 142 bars and food outlets here at Ascot this week. Can you believe that? I was chatting to someone earlier on. Sir Francis greets the Cavendishes, Lord and Lady Cavendish. I was speaking to someone who said yesterday, this is in catering retail, right? This isn't even hospitality. They took £2 million yesterday.
It's quite
They
something.
start work at about 3 o'clock in the morning, taking deliveries of all the food and drink.
Did you know, with 29 Michelin stars here, it is the most Michelin-starred sporting event in the world?
Our man Eleno, Yannick Eleno, has got 17 of those. So they'll meet Harry Morley and Lady Selina Carter first. And there's JP. There's JP. What a week he's had. He's a great character. He's a lot of fun. He's an Aston Villa fan for his sins. Lucky boy used to work at Southampton Football Club back in the day. And he will very shortly meet the King, who I'm sure will comment on the catering this week and all the different options you can eat and drink here. And next to JP on this side is Sarah Mayer. She's the latest unsung hero at Ascot. This lovely touch over these couple of days. She's the senior ticketing and retail manager. That has been transformed completely in the last few years. She's an unsung hero here at Ascot, and what a lovely moment for her. And she must be delighted to see ticket sales up the first few days, up another 5% yesterday, over 65,000, which is great in the current climate.
And I think a little unsung extras might arrive too, which is very lovely.
They do lots of clever things here at Ascot. That was the reception line. Away go the carriages once again. which means we are ready to roll on day 4 at the most colourful event in Britain's sporting calendar. Stay cool at home, sit back, relax. You've got the best seat in the house.